Well, Rube, the Eagles lost, but maybe they made some people some money?
Yeah, I guess that's one way to look at it. They did cover.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Exciting.
Yeah, it's the Eagle Eye Podcast presented by Nissan with Reuben Frank. I'm Dave Zangaro. 28-22 final score. It's a lot closer than a lot of that game was, and I guess there's good and bad in that. I mean, they fought at the end. They made it closer. They had a chance.
Yeah.
At the end of that game, but for 3 quarters, it was pretty bad.
Yeah, and I can't get too excited about them making it close. I mean, it was a 28-7 game, and that's what it was. Yeah, I guess it's good that they keep fighting, they keep battling. Go team, but I mean, moral victories and all that. I don't believe in them, and I think what's frustrating is that if Nick Sirianni had given them a chance earlier in the game, maybe it wouldn't have come down to that.
Yeah, and we're going to get into his play calling, Jalen Hurts, how we evaluate Hurts with the play calling. It's kind of a tricky thing. We'll talk about the defense. They gave up 28 points, but not their biggest problem today. We'll take a look ahead. This is like a long little break for the Eagles. It's almost like a mini bye week. I'm sure they're going to have to take a long, hard look at these first 6 games and figure out what might need to change. And then, of course, the return of Dave's Positivity Corner to close out this pod. But let's start with the play calling, because it was another game where it just, they got off to a pretty good start. They scored a touchdown on their first drive, aided by a penalty. But, hey, they score a touchdown regardless. And you're thinking, all right, maybe they've got something today. And then 3 and out, interception, 3 and out. It was brutal. The play calling was brutal. The execution was brutal. It was just really bad offense.
Yeah, it was hard to watch, and they have too much talent. There's talent on this offense. There's guys who can play. They're just not getting a chance, and I think it's partly Hurts he's just missing guys. He's just not playing well. He was 12 for 26, something like that, and 12 for 26. 115 yards. I mean, it's just he had 3 completions over 6 yards today.
Yeah, he played poorly, which we're going to get into his play. But if your quarterback is struggling, maybe the whole offense shouldn't be him. I mean, I understand that Nick Sirianni tried to build this offense around Jalen Hurts' strengths. But that doesn't mean the whole offense has to be Jalen Hurts, because that's what it is right now. And it's kind of indicative. Like, the offense we've seen goes with him, and that's the truth for a lot of teams to some level. But this is like it's all sink or swim with Jalen Hurts. And right now he's not playing well enough for that to be the case.
And it's too much. And it was our producer, Mike Mulhern. He's our pregame, postgame, Eagles pregame, postgame producer, and really astute football mind. I would say, who mentioned to me this morning when I came in the office, or this afternoon before the game, that he had worked out the percentages, and that Jalen Hurts was either running or throwing on 77% of the Eagles snaps, and it was the highest figure. Lamar Jackson isn't even that high. He's at like 70%. He's Lamar Jackson. He's also an MVP, and
not making his 9th start.
Yes. So it's a really interesting way and a good way to look at it, just how much Nick is piling on Jalen Hurts' plate. It's too much. And I think it was the notion that there's so many reasons to run the ball, and one is just because it gives the quarterback a break.
Yeah.
And Brandon Staley was talking about it. It just gives the quarterback, all right, on this play, all you got to do is hand off. I don't have to, go through progression. I don't have to take off and put myself at risk. And do I run? Do I do that? And that there's some real value to that, just in that, in that break. And look, I think Byron Leftwich is a really good play caller, and he's got Tom Brady. But even Tom Brady, I mean, they ran the ball 27 times, and then they had some kneel downs at the end for 31 carries. But their running backs had 27 carries, and on those first 2 touchdown drives, which really kind of set the tone for the game, Leonard Fournette was as big a part of those as Tom Brady was. You got the greatest quarterback ever, and you're still running the ball. And it just tells you that, I don't care who the quarterback is, there is value in running the ball. And Nick doesn't do it until they're down by 3 touchdowns. It's almost like, all right, well, now we're going to run the now we have nothing. We're desperate. Nothing else is working. Okay, here's your carry, Miles. And Miles goes 8 yards and goes 10 yards. It's like, oh, I'll keep giving him the ball because, oh, yeah, Miles Sanders is good. How about that? I didn't realize that. It's insanity. It's the worst. It's just such a terrible approach to play calling, such a reactive approach,
Yeah, and I understand a little bit of what he's saying at times where, if they're going to run this RPO-heavy offense, you make the read, and if the read says throw, you throw it. And you can excuse that away for one game. But we've seen it now multiple times in this season, and for Miles Sanders to have 1 carry in the first half is coaching malpractice. And look, Miles at times this year hasn't been great. At times he's missed holes, and at times he hasn't made the right play. But it's just inexcusable to run that little with and to get your running backs involved that little. I mean, they weren't even factors in the pass game today. Miles had 2 catches for 4 yards. Kenny Gainwell had 1 for 2. So if they're not going to run the ball, at least you got to find other ways for these players to get involved, and they're not doing that. And you can say that, like, you count plays close to the line of scrimmage as runs. I get that general idea, but the timing's been so off that those plays aren't working. So what's the point of a bubble screen if you lose 3 yards? And now you're in a situation where you have to throw the ball.
This is not a high-powered offense. It just isn't. And, when you don't have a high-powered offense, you don't rely that heavily on the quarterback. It's just simple, basic football. And he just doesn't. Miles has 11 carries in the last 4 first halves. 11 total carries. Or is it 13? I think it's 13. I'll go look it up. But, either way, it's insane. And I don't – it's 6 games now. We're like a third of the way through the season. And, is it going to change? Is Nick going to suddenly just realize the value of running? And, again, I'm not one of these guys, you got to run the ball 35 times a game. I'm not like that. But I do believe that you have to run it enough to take some pressure off the quarterback, to keep defenses guessing a little bit so they can't tee off on the O-line, which we saw today, and to give the quarterback a little bit of a mental break on a few plays. And it those plays give the offensive line a chance to dictate, to go forward. And this is a very big, physical, strong offensive line, and these guys love to run block, and they just don't get the opportunity. It's awful.
And the flip side of it is we always talk about complimentary football on this podcast. Their defense was out there 40 minutes.
Yeah, 4 or 5 days after being out there 35 minutes.
It's a lot. And some of that's on them not getting off the field,
sure.
And we'll get to them. But a lot of it is 3 and out. They barely have time to sit down on the bench before they're back on the field.
Yeah. Yeah, we've talked a lot this year about complementary football, and that's, the offense helping the defense helping the offense, and working together as a team, and special teams, field position, all these things kind of working together and complementing each other, and it's just not happening.
Nick just has no feel for his personnel right now, and that's scary. We're 6 games in.
Yeah.
We talked to Jalen Hurts late tonight, and he talked about identity. I don't know what this. I don't think he does either. I don't think anyone
articulate an identity. He just said, we want to win. That's
He talked about people ask what the identity is, and he didn't say what it was. So I said, well, what is the identity? And he said something about Rome not being built in a day, which doesn't. That's not an identity. I don't know what it is. Right now, their identity is 3 and out.
Their identity is chuck the ball deep and try to get a DPI.
That was their best play tonight.
And let Jalen run around at the end of the game.
The one thing I did find interesting, Sirianni brought it up, was that he would like to see a higher percentage of their offense be scripted. And basically that means Jalen stay in the pocket, which is true. But if Jalen has happy feet, some of that probably is because he's dropping back on 75%. 80%, 90% of the plays. Yeah, I realized I started too low there. But you're going to get happy feet in those instances. And you wonder, what kind of damage this is doing to him when you're putting that much on him. Because I agree with that. I agree that he's fleeing the pocket too early. There were some moments in this game where I thought he didn't need to leave. That pocket wasn't perfect.
Yeah.
The pockets aren't perfect right now. The offensive line isn't at full strength. But there were some times where I'm like, you got to stay there and go through your reads and try to execute the play as called. But I also think he's not getting a lot of help.
Yeah, and those are both true. And I thought tonight it was maybe the most glaring it's been as far like we talk a lot about the growth we want to see from Jalen, and I thought his pocket awareness was worse than it's been as far as when to stay in the pocket, trying to make a play, when to take off, when to throw it away instead of taking a sack.
Yeah, he had a lot of bad plays in this game. He played poorly. He did. And let's talk about him. The final numbers are ugly. 12 for 26, 115 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. He ran 2 in. Okay. Yeah, he had 44 yards on the ground. So, that's almost out of desperation, some of those. But he's missing throws he can't miss. He just is. And it's troubling because a lot of the throws he's missing, we're seeing week in and week out that he's missing them, and that's troubling to me. And the deep balls are underthrown. We saw the one to Rager where he actually got a DPI because it was underthrown. Rager had to come back for it. It created the DPI. The other one was the one to Quez. Quez had outside leverage. Jalen threw it on the inside, and Quez, that was the interception. Quez tried to come back and get it, and he mistimed it. But even aside from that, like
the one to Ertz was really because that wasn't like it was a pretty short throw.
This is the second week in a row he's missed Zach Ertz on a gotta have it throw.
Yeah,
Zach Ertz is a pretty big target.
Yeah, he seems to throw as if he's 9 feet tall.
He's not.
No, he's not.
He is not. Yeah, it's that's troubling to me is that we're seeing, and I thought some of his decisions in this game weren't great. We talked about him leaving the pocket early. There were some where, and I'll be honest, he rolls to his right quite a bit. And I know that's a natural tendency for right-handed quarterbacks, but it's becoming, I'd have to look at the numbers of it, but it's becoming very predictable.
Yeah, and that's going to make him easier to defend.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Which is obvious. Like, look, right-handed quarterbacks roll to the right. It's easier. You roll into your left, you're going to have to throw across your body, and it's a tougher throw, but it makes him easier to defend.
Yep. I'm concerned about him. I'm concerned about him because you expect bad games, you expect inconsistent games, but he's trending the wrong way, and that's really concerning.
Yeah, the thing that concerns me is the routine throws that quarterbacks have to make. He's missing too often. Everyone's going to miss them sometimes. Tom Brady's going to miss one on occasion, but you can't miss them consistently, and especially in games like this. When he missed that throw to Ertz, the first thing I thought was, in this game, you can't miss opportunities because the other team's too good. You're going to pay for it. So there's a lot going against this offense right now. And the funny thing is, not ha-ha funny, but curious funny, is that we all see Jalen Hurts struggling as a clear indicator that maybe the offense shouldn't just be him. And it doesn't seem like Nick sees that. It seems like he's really stubborn and has, this is what I want to do. I've designed this. I want to play like this. And, whatever, come hell or high water, this is the offense we're going to run. And I just think it's a really poor approach.
Yeah, and if it doesn't change, he might not be here next year. I'll say that because you're going to get – you could really damage a young quarterback. Look, I don't know what Jalen Hurts' future is, but he's a 23-year-old kid who's got some ability. And, I was – we were in his presser in his availability, and, he seemed kind of defeated, He seemed kind of –
He's not used to losing like this.
No, he's not used to losing, period. But he's not doing him any favors as far as what he's putting on his plate, the play calling, the absence of a running game. He's making it very hard. Look, I'm not defending Jalen Hurts because a lot of his issues are self-caused, but he's not helping him. And, Jalen needs direction. He needs a play caller who can help him get into a rhythm and help him hit those throws and help him be more productive and be more consistent. He's just not getting that.
Yeah, Nick doesn't seem to have a feel for what's going to get him in a rhythm.
Right.
And that's troubling because they've been together now for an entire training camp and for 6 games, and they look as lost as ever. At least in the Kansas City game, I mean, they moved the ball offensively.
It's a historically bad defense, too.
This team?
The Chiefs.
But they moved the ball against that.
Yeah.
I mean, this Buccaneers, they have a good front, but they're without Levante David. They're without Antoine Winfield. The secondary is decimated. They lost Richard Sherman in the game.
Right.
And they couldn't throw on him. They tried to throw on him. They couldn't throw him. Jalen Hurts had 115 yards through the air.
They had Tampa's allowing 314 passing yards per game. It's last in the NFL. Most yards in the NFL. Yeah. They threw for about a third of that.
Yeah. It's this. They should have been able to move the ball better. And their biggest plays were the defensive pass interferences.
Yep.
And hell, I would have thrown the ball deep more.
It's your only play.
If you're, it's not ideal. It's not ideal to say maybe we'll get a DPI on this, but at a certain point, I would have tried it more.
Yep. Hey, score big with the AAA Eagles MVP membership, along with the superb roadside assistance and discounts you've come to expect from AAA. Get exclusive Eagles-related perks. For all the details, visit AAA.com/Eagles.
Rube, the defense gives up 28 points, but we both walked out of there thinking, it wasn't bad.
Yeah, and I thought, the Bucs came out and scored 2 quick touchdowns. Well, not quick. I mean, they were long drives, 75 yards each, but
2 first quarter touchdowns.
9 minutes into the game, they were up 14-0, or no, it was 14-7. Yeah. But after that, and it seemed like they just kind of needed to settle down. Tom Brady does this to people. He can, just knowing you're playing against Tom Brady can be intimidating, and you never know how people are going to react to it. I don't know if it was that or they just were surprised by some of the things they were doing. They ran the ball effectively early with Fournette. But after that, I thought, for the last 3 quarters, what did they give up? 14 points in the last 3 quarters?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. 14 points to Tom Brady, to the Super Bowl champs in 3 quarters. Look, you see 28 points up there. That's a lot of points. But this is an offense that has the potential to put up 48 on people. And I thought as the game went on, they tackled better. I thought they tackled really well as the game went on. They covered well.
In instances, they did. Sometimes they didn't. Early in the game, Leonard Fournette was dragging linebackers.
Yeah, and they got better. After that 20-yard run, I'm like, I was the play other than that, Mrs. Lincoln type thing. But I did think again, you're playing 40 minutes 5 days after playing 35 minutes. It's a lot of snaps in a short period of time. I thought they got some pressure. I just saw some positives, I guess. And look, I don't want to sound like a homer or anything, but I just saw some signs of progress. And Brady's a guy who can put up 50 on you. And after that start, they played better.
Yeah, I agree. And
they got a turnover.
Yeah, the third downs, what were they? Their Bucs were 7 for 13. There was one early third down, I think it was a 3rd and 8 they gave up.
Yeah.
You need to get off the field there. And then late in the game, they had a 3rd and 7. They doubled Antonio Brown, and Brady rolls right. I mean, that was his best throw of the night. It was. It's one of those where Epps is right on him, and Brady just threads the needle. It's a tough play. That's one where you kind of tip your cap to him. But they had some chances in this game to get off the field, but they did. I mean, at times they made good plays. They had the tip ball from Singleton to Epps.
Yeah.
Did that count?
No, it counted as an incomplete pass.
Okay, and then the other interception did, the
right.
Anthony Harris.
That one counted. The other interception.
Yeah.
They got some stops. I think, Tampa scored on 2 of its last 9 possessions. So, they didn't give up any plays longer than 27 yards.
I thought it'll be interesting to see what Gannon says. I remember earlier in the season, he kind of gauges it like, did we give our team a chance to win? I thought they did that.
Yeah, I do too.
Yeah.
I do too. I mean,
it's still not great to give up 28 points, but you don't walk away from this game feeling like the defense was the biggest problem.
Yeah, I think after Dallas and Kansas City, there was that expectation, are they going to give up 40 again?
Yeah.
They gave up 28. Look, it's not, you're not going to have a parade about it, but it wasn't a total meltdown. I do think they faced the 3 toughest quarterbacks they're going to face. And they'll face Dak again, obviously, at the end of the year. But, for the next 10 weeks, they're not facing a Mahomes, a Dak, or a Brady. And they're facing some good quarterbacks, but they're not facing any Hall of Famers. So I think the defense will have a chance to find itself
they have Herbert
in
a little bit. He's obviously really good.
Sure.
But, yeah, you're right. I mean, these guys are the best. So I think I have an expectation that the defense will be okay.
I do too. Yeah. But I don't feel that way about the offense.
I don't either.
I also feel like there's more talent on the offense.
Yeah, which is
shouldn't be that way.
Yeah, it's troubling, right?
Yeah, what does that say about the coaching?
There's a disconnect, pretty clear disconnect.
Yeah, no doubt.
All right, I forgot what we're talking about. Well, let's each pick one thing.
Okay.
If we could grant a wish and change one thing about this team, what would you change?
Play caller. I think it's time. I've seen enough. It's not getting better. If anything, it's getting worse. He has no feel for his players. He has no feel for getting Jalen Hurts in a rhythm. He has no feel for what's going to work against the defense. He has no feel for changing up when something's not working and doing something different. I thought he'd be a really good play caller. I'm not sure what I'm basing that on, just being around Frank, being around good quarterbacks. I liked what he said. I liked everything he said about offense. Remember that whole thing about, we thought they were going to throw to the backs all the time? What, 3 for 5 today?
Well, he did throw to Kenny Gainwell 50 yards down the field.
Yeah, which I like Kenny Gainwell, but that's not. He's disappeared from the offense too the last 2 games. Yeah. He's a good player, but I think it's time. And Andy Reid used to, every couple of years he would turn it over to. It was usually Marty, and Andy. There's no shame in giving up play calling. Andy Reid.
Yeah, I think the difference is Andy was established.
Yeah, and
you know what I mean. I think Nick feels like his value to the organization is as a play caller.
Well, his employment to the organization might be really short if, and a lot of coaches will tell you once they, and it doesn't have to be permanent. Give it up for a few weeks. Let Shane Steichen. He's talked about how many good play callers are on the staff. Kevin Patullo, even Brian Johnson. There's guys who've called plays. Bring his brother in. He says his brother's a great play caller. It allows you to step back. Andy used to talk about it allowed him to step back and kind of coach the whole team, and the burden of play calling was gone. He could be more involved with, all the other stuff going on during the game, and there's a lot. I think the offense needs a jolt of creativity, of energy, of inventiveness, and I don't see him providing it. So. But, yeah, it's a bad look. A rookie coach doing it 6 weeks in. But you just can't. This is – do you know who Dana Bible is?
Yeah.
Dana Bible was the Eagles' offensive coordinator. He replaced Gruden in '98. He was the offensive coordinator under Ray Rhodes in '98. And in the first 6 games of the season, the Eagles scored 68 points. And Ray demoted him, but he didn't fire him. He never changed his title, but he let Bill Musgrave start calling the plays. And things got worse, actually. It was like the worst team ever assembled. Although Trey Thomas was a rookie left tackle who got honored today, and we applaud him and John Runyon. But I always thought Dana Bible was the worst play caller I'd ever seen. And I'm sitting there today in the first half thinking, you know what? This guy might be worse than Dana Bible. So I'm ready to make that change. I don't think it's going to happen, but I think it would certainly help.
Yeah, the thing I'd change is along those lines.
Head coach.
No, I don't think he's going to change.
Right.
That.
I don't either.
So I think what I would change is have Nick Sirianni really look at this offense over these next few days and realize something's got to give, and kind of go back to the drawing board, really. I mean, reassess and kind of go back to training camp. I really would. I'd go all the way back from square one and try to rebuild the offense. And it's a big ask in a mini bye week to do that. But what they're doing is clearly not working. And in an attempt to save Jalen Hurts for himself, I'd take a little bit off his plate. I'd really sit down with him this week and say, Jalen, what do you feel comfortable doing? Let's here are 5 plays that we can run. And I know that's oversimplifying this. I know that they have a lot more in there, but let's start with 5 plays, and then let's go to 10 plays of things we know we can execute, because they damn sure can't execute everything they're doing right now. And that's what I'd do. I'd really try to simplify and then build it back up. And that's not ideal 6 weeks into the season, but anything short of changing play caller, which I don't think is going to happen, that's what I'd do.
Well, you didn't ask me what I thought would happen. You asked me what I would do.
Yeah, I know.
So, yeah. Okay. Just want to make that clear. At Nissan, we just made your choice for a new car an easier one than ever with our most exciting and fuel-efficient lineup. The choice is yours. Now get great offers across our full line. Shop your local Nissan store today at NissanUSA.com.
You're hamming it up now.
I was.
Yeah, that's too much.
That was too much.
Yeah. Zach Ertz. Not a huge game for him. What did he finish with?
4 catches.
Yeah, not a huge game for anyone. 4 for 29 in the touchdown.
579 as an Eagle. 10 shy of Harold Carmichael's franchise record of 589.
Yeah, and we'll see if he gets there. Apparently, Jay Glazer was on Fox pregame kind of talking about the possibility of a trade this week. I haven't heard the segment, so I am passing on secondhand information, which is dangerous, but... then we saw,
some people make a living out of that.
That's true. I try not to. And then, after the game, watching Zach Ertz walk off, it seemed like a little extra emotion from him. He had a little chat with Dom DeSandro, the VP of security, and it seemed a little out of the ordinary. And it caught my attention a little bit. So we'll see what happens here. I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility that he's not here.
No, I don't either. I wonder how much the fact that contract talks with Goddard have not gone well or have not gained well. No, have not, have broken down. Last we heard, I'm not sure how much that plays into it. You would think one of them would be here next year.
You would hope.
Yeah, you would hope. So I'd be surprised if it happens. I wouldn't be shocked.
Yeah.
I think it's more likely he's here than not, but certainly within the realm of possibility.
Yeah, and he was also one of the guys to go out for the coin toss today. Not a captain, but he went out there.
Interesting.
Obviously in an expanded role in this game without Dallas Goedert, who's still on the COVID list. Tough break for him on a short week. Not really much of a chance to get back, but just something to keep in mind, and it was something I noticed, so I thought we'd bring it up.
Yeah, Ertz did have the touchdown.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
All right, positivity corner.
You want me to start?
Yeah, sure.
Avonte Maddox.
Yeah, he made some big plays today.
Yeah,
some big tackles.
Yeah, he's always been a good tackler in the slot, and I think I'm probably guilty of this too. I think we all kind of, forgot how good he was in the slot just when he was playing outside last year. We kind of Avonte Maddox, but he really is good at that. And
he's a sneaky candidate for an extension.
Yeah,
because he's in a contract year. They're locking up everyone else from that 2018 class. He's one who wouldn't surprise me. I don't think he obviously wouldn't break the bank, but I think he's a pretty decent nickel. I do.
I do too.
Yeah, and he gives you some flexibility because I think he can play a free safety role too, if you needed him in a pinch.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Yeah, I thought he played well. That's a good one. How about Denard Avery? He made one.
But I mean that penalty.
The penalty was bad.
Anything. I mean, it's terrible in that situation.
But it's also, I know that.
Did you see what he did?
He yelled at Fournette. He clearly said something that caught Fournette's attention because Fournette looked at the ref right away. But I hate the NFL equally as much in that scenario.
No, I mean, but you got to know.
You gotta
Especially with
know.
this team, refs are looking for them to.
But the NFL's stupid.
I agree.
Like taunting.
I know. I
And there's
totally
gonna
agree.
there's going to be a taunting call with 5 minutes left in a one-score game.
But you can't do it.
You can't do it. But I did want to point out his one tackle was very good. He might be their best linebacker right now.
Yeah.
I heard some people say, cut him. They don't have anyone else to play.
Yeah. No, he's had a couple good games in a row now.
Yeah.
He's not a bad player. And I'll give you another one. Can I do one more? Are we?
Yeah, you got it.
Miles Sanders.
Okay.
Because once he was allowed to actually play, once he was allowed to go out and play with the big kids, 9 for 56 after being 1 for 1 in the first half, and I think he was 4 for 6 going into the fourth quarter. So he was 5 for 50 in the fourth quarter. They couldn't stop him. Who knows if he got started, getting the ball a little earlier, how the game would have turned out. We'll never know. But I think we saw and the same thing happened in Charlotte last week. He's finally got the ball. Now, obviously, he shouldn't have run out of bounds. We know that. But as far as the guy's a really good runner, and there's only one person on the planet that doesn't know that.
I've got another good one for you.
Yeah, what do you got?
Eagles fans in attendance.
Yeah.
For the sarcastic cheer.
That was great.
When Miles
that was awesome.
Finally got a carry and picked up a first down, 5 yards. It was some people gave a standing ovation for that run. I love that. No one does a sarcastic cheer better than Philly fans. It was fantastic.
Yeah. That was good. 8 straight games. This is not positive. This is negative, but I'm going to throw it in.
Take it out. Get it out of my corner.
All right. Well, can we just officially end that and I can add something?
John Runyon, Trey Thomas, congratulations.
Yeah.
Last positive corner thing.
Yeah. It was cool. We had them on the WIP pregame show, and they were both talking about what it was like to play together, and just they're both. The crazy thing about them is they were both so durable. Runyon never missed a game.
Yeah.
Trey missed one game, a Monday nighter in Miami in 2003.
It's amazing to be able to rely on that for a decade.
And Ike was just talking about how their mentality just had a ripple effect. Their toughness, their durability, their willingness to do anything, anytime for the team really set the tone for those great Eagles teams from 2000 to 2008 was their last year here. Trey finished up with Jacksonville. I think Runyon played a few games with the Chargers, but they were. It was really deserving. It was great to see them going together.
Yeah, very fitting.
Yeah. So. I can't believe Hugh Douglas stopped by the pregame show. He was just wandering around the plaza. We brought him in. He's down in the Eagles Hall of Fame.
Yeah, he should be.
He should be.
Yeah.
So I just want to throw that out there.
All right, we're out of the positive corner. What do you got?
Derek Barnett, 8 straight games without a sack.
Okay.
That's all. Half a season. Yeah. Well, 8/17 of a season, 46.5% of a season.
Yeah. I thought he played well last week.
Yeah, he did.
Didn't notice him tonight.
No, didn't notice him at all. No penalties. So we could throw that in the positivity corner. No penalties
let's
for Barnett.
End on.
They actually only had 2 penalties till the Avery taunting. So I'm thinking, you're finally playing a disciplined game here. Then
there goes that
taunting, 15 yards. That's at a big moment.
It was a big moment. It was a bad penalty to take for sure.
So.
Even though the rule's stupid.
Great.
All right. If you enjoy the podcast, please rate and subscribe wherever you get your pods. If you're watching on YouTube, please click the like button and subscribe there as well. That's it. Hope everyone enjoys a stress-free weekend of watching football. You don't have to worry about watching Nick Sirianni call 35 straight passing plays. That's it for Rube. I'm Dave. We'll talk to you soon.